If you've ever had to flick through 300 pages of documents just to find that one clause, or flick back some thought forwards through a spec just to answer that one question you had on the testing requirements, then this video is for you. Google's NotebookLM solves exactly this. You upload all your project documents to your notebook and you simply ask it questions in plain English. It will give you a summarized answer as well as a reference back to the page or exactly where it got it from. So today I'm going to show you how you can actually use it and where it fits with inside a construction workflow, and then the 3 features that I think are really underutilized. So here we are, we're inside my notebook LM, and essentially how it works and where it differs from something like Claude or ChatGPT is that it will only answer the questions based on the information you have in here as sources. So it won't get swept up with the generic data that may be on the internet. And on top of that, it will provide a link to go to exactly where it's found that answer, so you can double check it very easily. Now, to kick it off, I've just created a new notebook here, and I'm going to do it based on the Miramar Community Center. And the first thing I'm going to do is upload all of the sources that I wanted to reference. So it's very easy, you can't pair. And the cool thing with NotebookLM is you can add things like videos, images, you can just copy text, you can add a URL of a website, and it'll aggregate all of this into its knowledge base where it's going to answer those questions from. So I'm just uploading files that are on my laptop here. And you can see I'm going to kick these off and upload them now. And they'll come up as your sources on the left here. Now I'm actually going to go and upload some of the drawings as well. And much like with any other AI or LLM, it can read those drawings, but it's not going to be accurate on that. So it was still not a tool where you can ask it to say, what is the floor area of a certain part of the building or whatever is in your project, but it can use it for context and reference, but still should definitely be double checked. Cool, so now I'm uploading the drawings that I have there as well, and it's going to go through and bring all of this in context. So once these are all uploaded, we'll jump back and carry on. Cool, so now all of those sources are uploaded here, and they're part of the notebook's knowledge base. So any question I ask from now on is going to be using those as the references. So now really the sky's the limit in terms of what you can do with it. You can do things like, I'm just going to put in what are the liquidated damages on this contract and how they're calculated. And it's going to go away and look and find that from the contract and pull it back for me so that I don't have to go and flick through and figure out what it is. Here it is. And you can see here are the links to exactly the sections of the document that it's pulled them from, so you can read it, the exact text from the exact section, and obviously you can go view source as well and click into that document. So that's the real power of this, is that you can go through and read it word for word, so you know it's not making stuff up. You can see it exactly in here. So super cool. And you can ask it to do certain things like see if there's contradictions or compare one thing to another. So for example, you could put through summarize every item in the RFI log that changes the scope or the pricing. So again, it can go through and then reviews both of those and it'll give the answer for those in here. However, with the latest update of NotebookLM connecting it to Gemini, that's actually a better way to do that sort of work inside of there. And I'll show you that in a minute. Oh, and you can see that I've submitted this and there's actually not an RFI log or anything included inside of the scope here. So I should have read that before I started, but this is a great example of how it's not making stuff up from something else. It's just telling me that it can't find that out. But nonetheless, you can do the contradictions comparisons in here as well. Now, the cool thing that you can also do inside of NotebookLM, and the ones related to the actual construction project, is something like a slide deck. So if you want to prepare a presentation on a project, maybe it's to introduce a project to the team or something like that, you can go in here and actually create slide decks. There's a couple of basic settings you can go through and you can add a description of what you want. I've actually found that the slides it produces in here are pretty good. And you can also split them out in a PowerPoint so that you can change them and edit them if they're not exactly how you want. And you can do a number of other things. inside of here, like creating mind maps with the resources and infographics and even a data table and some reports that maybe could be useful. So you can see they give you a couple of formats you can put one in. I'm not really sure when you'd ever use this, because to be honest, whenever we're creating a report inside of a construction workflow, you'd be better off using something like a Claude skill, because you want a very defined, very specific output. Now, the only other thing I'm going to touch on in the studio area, which is actually a really cool way, and I was speaking to someone the other day who does use it in this way, is the audio overview. So maybe not so exciting if you're just going through your project documents in terms of creating a podcast out of them. But if you are doing some research on a topic and you have a lot of sources that you're getting information from, and you want a quick, easy way to be able to distill that information, and you like to listen to it while you're doing the dishes or washing the car, then the audio overview is actually a great way to do that. And I have used this a few times, and the AI podcast that it creates is not as punishing as you'd imagine. And it's great to go through a number of sources. So again, you can choose the style you want out of it. The best thing is just to have a play around with it. When I used it is when they actually have two people, like co-hosts, so they're having a conversation between each other. Super interesting way to use NotebookLM and AI in general, and can be very handy if you're on the go. So now the last thing I'm going to touch on is how Google Gemini and NotebookLM are now very much connected. So on the paid personal use of Gemini, you'll now see on the side here that you'll have your notebooks, and you can pin your notebooks there as well. However, I'm using the business one as my business runs off Google Workspace, and so I don't have that yet. And the majority of my work is done through Claude. I use Gemini just for quick things, and I use NotebookLM for exactly what we're describing now. But even if you're on the paid Workspace plan like I am, you can still link your notebooks as sources when you're doing work in Gemini. So for example, to do that, you go the plus button. You can see you can add files as normal, and then you can also come in here and add your notebooks to attach it to there. So for example, I can come in here and then see the Miramar Community Centers at the top here. I can add that in and then ask the same question that I asked before and use the resources that are inside, or the sources that are inside NotebookLM, to answer that. And there we go. It's giving me the same answers before. And it does have links back to the PDF and the source, but you can see it's not quite as usable as it is when you're inside of NotebookLM itself, because it gave you that little summary. But here you have to click into it, and you can kind of see the summary there, but you're going to click into the PDF again to view it. Whereas when we were inside of NotebookLM, you can very easily just go here and see exactly. Well, I just clicked on it then and it's opened up on the side tab here, but you can also see the summary of it as well in there, which makes it very easy to verify for those quick questions. Now, where do I see this fitting inside of a construction workflow? So there's definitely been a shift more recently to using things like Claude, due to the fact that they have co-work, they have skills. Their wrapper around Claude is incredibly powerful for construction workflows. So if you find yourself burning through your Claude credits really quickly, which until I upgraded my plan, I did that as well, then the best thing you can use this for is, one, it is a better way in general, regardless of whether you use Claude, to search for specific information within documents. The second way, and the way it would be best used in most people's workflow, is for those quick questions. So rather than querying Claude, which will do a good job of finding information inside those documents, but it won't provide the references in quite a nice way as NotebookLM does, you can use NotebookLM to do that, and that will save you the tokens that you would otherwise use Claude for, meaning that you can do more workflows inside of Claude while using NotebookLM as like your quick go-to for when you do have questions on documents. And on top of that, if you're still using ChatGPT or Claude just in the chat window, you can only upload 20 documents or so, and you get limited on space really quickly. Whereas in NotebookLM, you can upload a ton of stuff before you start running out of space. And you can keep adding resources to your notebook as you go through, and you're just going to build up that base of knowledge. Now, I hope that's helped distill down why you might have seen a lot about NotebookLM, because it is a really powerful tool. So that's it. Just a quick video on why I think NotebookLM is really important and how it can actually fit nicely within inside a construction workflow, whilst potentially saving you some Claude credits, because I know that's a real issue with people out there. So I hope that you enjoyed that, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.